Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. I wish I could say that this was me on the motorcycle, heading towards the 11 to 12,000 year old site of Karahan Tepe in Turkey. But it's not. It's Tugay Alpat, and he's given me this fantastic recent footage. Tugay has a fantastic YouTube channel where he visits historic and prehistoric sites in Turkey. And so if you're planning to visit, or if you just want to see this amazing part of the world, please do subscribe to his channel, because you really get a personal feel for each site he visits. And here he is on the approach to Karahan Tepe. I like the fact that from this view, it looks like there's nothing to see. Until you reach this, enclosure AC, partly made of bedrock and part masonry. It's not in the best state of preservation, and it's just downhill from the main heart of the excavation area. I'll pause it right here. This enclosure has a diameter of 5.5 metres, and the masonry half was apparently made up of stones placed vertically, like this one, which is still in place today. Like with the famous pillared enclosure AB, according to archaeologist Nesmi Carroll, on its discovery it was found to be covered with large flat stones, maybe the remnants of a roof or cover. Walking southwest up the hill, and we're now at the start of the excavation area. Using the drone footage supplied by Dakota Wind in December 2021, I estimate we're stood around here. Tugay walks clockwise around the perimeter of the entire site, and every so often I'll show you a map in the top corner to show you where we are. Pause it there to get our bearings once again, and right ahead we can see the perimeter pillars of the large enclosure AD. That there is the pillared enclosure AB, and we can see just how big the excavation area really is, and it's expanding all the time. And this year, excavations have continued further up the hill. I'll get to that part of the site shortly. Right now we can see the smaller, likely domestic enclosures, with the typical T-shaped pillars poking through the ground. To get to the base of these enclosures, archaeologists still have a long way to dig, and just look at the masses of stone to both document and clear. Make no mistake, this is a huge and important job. To give you some perspective, I've read that Karahan Tepe is around 7 hectares in size. That's 70,000 square metres, and only around 3,000 square metres has been excavated. That's less than 5%. This is pretty much the northeastern margin of the main excavation area. The pillars would have likely supported roofs, and you can see the stone walls and partitions. Along the eastern edge of the excavation site, notable finds have been piled up. We can see stone plates, concave bowl-like objects, the remains of pillars, artistic objects and more. This piece here looks especially well crafted, but where it comes from I don't know. Looking across at the site, and we have large enclosure AD in the background, but in the foreground is another sizable enclosure, complete with megalithic stone pillars. This looks to be newly excavated right down to the enclosure's base. I think we can even see some possible footings for pillars. Looking back to the aerial footage from December 2021, and the excavations at this part of the site were not this deep. And here are some fragments of stone pillars retrieved from the site. Just walking along this eastern edge is really quite breathtaking, looking at the size and scale of Karahan Tepe so far. And what's amazing is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more still buried. For the past few years, I've tried my best to understand the well-known enclosures AA, AB and AD, but my progress is slow. But just looking at the vast array of structures and artefacts on site, and I just know it will be decades before we truly have a grasp on how this site functioned 11 to 12,000 years ago. We're apparently now inside the domestic area of the site, and we can see basins and plates scattered amongst the debris. This enclosure on the left has a right-angled corner, and as we know from studying gobeklitepe, rectangular enclosures generally mark a later phase of activity. We've now turned the corner, and we're on the southern edge of the excavation site and heading up the hill. We can see more enclosures with yet more pillars and stone basins. As stated, so far less than 5% of Karahan Tepe has been excavated, and so it is hard to fathom how a site 11 to 12,000 years old is this big. How much labour and how many hours of work went into the construction? It really is incredible. I love how the pillars show us which parts have been sat above ground for millennia, and also the parts that have been buried. It's amazing to see the weathering, erosion and discoloration, and it truly gives us a sense for the age of the site. The only negative thing I have to mention about Karahan Tepe is the lack of published papers since work began in 2019. In 4 years we've only seen one official piece of work released, and this only concerns the 4 special enclosures. Of course I understand it all takes time, but a new publication is long overdue, especially because public interest is increasing all the time. This I believe was the enclosure excavated a couple of years ago. There were once 4 central pillars inside, and the one that still stood up and supported is anthropomorphic, with arms and hands carved in relief on its sides. Each hand has 8 fingers. The top of the pillar looks like it's been exposed above ground, and so it's now eroded away. Now we're walking into the most recently excavated parts of Karahan Tepe, and as you can see, there are yet more T-shaped pillars, some standing but some have fallen. These enclosures do look a lot smaller, and they are believed to be domestic in nature. Some of the pillars in these enclosures are also carved, sometimes with animal designs, although sadly we can't see close enough in this footage. The enclosures almost look like terraces going up the hill, but as you can see from this higher enclosure, it has not yet been excavated to its base. Referring back to the drone footage from December 2021, and we're looking at this area right here. Now at the top of the hill and walking northwards, above the main excavation area, and we're now right in the 2023 excavations. Just to pause it for 1 second, because for those that don't know, the linear banks of earth that run through the site have been left intentionally. These parts are unexcavated. They allow the site to be uncovered in a grid-like fashion, and they also give us a cross-section of the site, so archaeologists can analyse the fill. And this is very important because it can tell us how the site went out of use and also the processes, whether natural, human or both, that filled in the ancient enclosures. All of this is brand new and no new papers on Karahan Tepe have been released for some time, but you may have seen the recent headlines about a brand new discovery at Karahan Tepe, and it's located right here. Underneath that white sheeting is a large statue of a man. A statue more than 2 meters tall, in a sitting position and ribs showing, and both hands holding his phallus. It looks like it's been dressed up as an unconvincing ghost for Halloween. A statue of the Eurasian griffon vulture has also been covered up right here. And this is what it looks like. I do have a new video on these discoveries, and I've linked it in the description below. You can see the enclosure has pillars, a porthole stone, and also a flat stone floor. And this looks to be another large and important enclosure. Its size so far undetermined, but recently, lead archaeologist Nesmi Carroll said only a small part of this enclosure has been uncovered. He calls it a monumental building with pillars placed symmetrically inside the walls, with benches between them. For the remainder of the 2023 excavation season, work will continue at this part of Karahan Tepe. Tugay then takes us into the heart of the site, the enigmatic interconnecting enclosures. Here we can see enclosure AA with the rock cut bench around the edge and also with the deep pit inside. You can see the texture of the ground and also the pitting in the limestone. And this is a great angle of the snaking channel-like feature that leads into the pillared enclosure AB, an enclosure with a lip on its eastern and western sides, which together with the pillars, I still think supported a stone roof. More on that in the future. So that completes my short motorcycle tour of Karahan Tepe in 2023. I wish. But I do plan to visit in 2024, and so if you are interested in joining me on tour, click the link in the description below, leave your name and email address, and I'll let you know when the plans are in place. To end this video, I'm going to show you some very recent photographs from Karahan Tepe, and these were taken just a few days ago by Herman Lewis, whose channel I've linked below in the description. Herman has formulated his own unique hypothesis, and it's regarding the iconography of the pre-pottery Neolithic sites, with a strong focus on gobeklitepe, and anyone with an interest should certainly take a look. It really is quite fascinating. I also want to give a special shout out to Haran University. As you look through these incredible photographs, not only will you see the incredible artifacts and architecture, but Herman also shows the vast amounts of unexcavated remains, where the eroded tops of T-shaped pillars are poking through the ground, silently waiting to reveal their secrets. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.